The Imperial outpost had been dead for decades. Rust choked its satellite array. Pollution pooled in cratered earth around the central signal tower. The HAB unit stood fractured, hollow, its upper levels exposed to a toxic sky. But deep within the bunker's systems, the past still whispered. The Tau needed what was stored here: coordinates, proof, a path to their captured commander. They sent Vespids, fast, surgical, disposable, if necessary. They did not expect Death Guard. A corroded wind swept the battlefield, grinding metal against metal. Through it, the Plague Champion advanced into the center of the field, bold, deliberate, claiming the ground beneath the signal tower. On the right flank, Longsting settled behind supply crates beside the HAB unit. He drew a bead through the gale. The rail rifle cracked. The shot struck the champion squarely, blasting corrupted ceramite from his chest. The giant staggered but did not fall. At the corner of the HAB unit, something moved. The Plaguecaster emerged, staff raised. Entropy coiled through the air like a living thing. Longsting was caught mid-adjustment. The blast consumed him. When the wind cleared, he lay still beside the crates. The first loss. A Vespid warrior surged forward to take Longsting's position, firing up at the sorcerer. The bolts flared against warped armor but failed to bite. Behind the Psyker, the heavy gunner stepped into view. The plague spewer roared. Filth washed over the warrior, eating through armor and chitin alike. He faltered but held position. Above them, another warrior launched skyward, landing atop the HAB unit roof. From that elevation, he fired down at the Plaguecaster, forcing the sorcerer to recoil beneath the impact. On the left flank, the bombardier climbed onto the command bunker, taking position behind the rusted satellite array. Skyblast advanced in support of the first warrior, launching a grenade toward the Plaguecaster. It burst against the HAB wall, fragments rattling uselessly against corrupted plate. Even the bombardier behind him was untouched. The icon bearer moved methodically up the right side, using the HAB structure for cover. At the center, swarm guards slipped behind the signal tower, preparing to make a run for the relay. On the bunker, the fighter joined the bombardier. The flail of corruption dragged along the ferrocrete with a grinding scrape. The oversight drone rose and drifted onto the command bunker's left edge, scanning. Then the heavy gunner reacted. The plague spewer swept again, and a Vespid warrior disappeared beneath the torrent, this time not rising. The spray splashed outward, catching Skyblast mid-advance, scorching wings and armor. On the right, the strain leader leaned from behind the crates and fired at the wounded champion. The shot struck clean. The Plague Champion fell into the dust at the center of the field. A victory, small, costly. Immediate retaliation came from the Plaguecaster. Entropy lashed toward the strain leader, blasting into him and leaving him reeling but alive. On the bunker, Shade Strain vaulted into position and fired at the advancing fighter, forcing him to adjust his stride. The bombardier circled the satellite array, tightening his angle. A third warrior advanced along the right flank and fired into the plague caster, the impacts finally beginning to tell. The icon bearer climbed onto the hab roof to contest the elevation. On the bunker, 2 more Vespid warriors added their fire into the fighter, forcing him to dash forward under pressure rather than advance at his own pace. The first encounter ended with bodies already cooling. The champion and Longsting lay dead. A Vespid warrior lay where the plague had taken him, but the nodes were still untouched. A thick cloud of infectious mist rolled across the field, swallowing long sightlines. The plague caster endured the residual neutron burn eating at his armor, and moved. He reached the communication node beside the hab unit. He did not hesitate. Plague wind erupted outward. The blast tore across the Tau line. Sky Blast fell where he stood. The already wounded strain leader was engulfed and collapsed beside the crates. Then the plague caster placed his corrupted hand upon the node. The infection began. Data started to rot. At the center, Swarm Guard launched upward onto the signal tower and interfaced with the relay. Against interference, against decay, he began transmitting. Fragments, partial strings, something. On the bunker, the bombardier moved past the satellite array and hurled a blight grenade into the clustered Vespids. It detonated among them. One warrior was torn apart, Shade Strain staggered, armor split. Another warrior reeled. The oversight drone sparked under the blast. The bombardier followed with bolt fire, but the drone held. The oversight drone pulled back from the bunker's edge. Then the fighter moved. He placed his hand upon the second communication node and corrupted it. 2 nodes now rotting. Then he charged. The flail of corruption swung in a brutal arc across the bunker's surface. One warrior was crushed completely. The other was hurled back, barely standing. Shade Strain was struck again. The oversight drone was smashed from the air, crashing lifeless onto the bunker roof. On the hab roof, a Vespid warrior stepped to the edge. He took aim at the plague caster. One precise shot. The sorcerer's body collapsed beside the infected node, but the damage had been done. The icon bearer answered instantly. Bolt fire struck the warrior, throwing him from the roof. Then, from the same vantage, he fired upon the wounded strain leader below. The Vespid leader fell at last. Command broken. Shade Strain repositioned and fired at the fighter, but the corrupted warrior endured. The heavy gunner advanced toward the signal tower, fragments of neutron energy scoring his armor as he moved. He fired up at Swarm Guard, scorching the Vespid clinging to the tower. Still, Swarm Guard held the transmission. The surviving warrior fired desperately at the fighter. It was not enough. The storm broke. The air cleared. The fighter swung first. The flail came down in sweeping arcs. Shade Strain was obliterated. The final Vespid warrior fell moments later. Only Swarm Guard remained active. He lifted from the tower, abandoning his transmission point, and darted behind the heavy gunner. He fired into the giant's back, forcing him to turn. The plague spewer answered. The torrent engulfed the last Vespid. When it faded, nothing moved. Both communication nodes were corrupted. Every Vespid lay dead. The plague marines held the outpost. But before the final transmission died, something escaped, incomplete, fragmented, corrupted, but not nothing. The Tau did not recover coordinates, they recovered direction, and direction is enough to begin a hunt. Thanks for watching, Guardsmen. This skirmish is over, but the war rages on. Like the video to honor the fallen, and subscribe to be summoned for the next operation. The campaign continues, and your orders are coming.